G'day everybody and welcome to this lesson for War Pigs by Black Sabbath. Let's dive into the intro of this song. We're in 6/8, playing over on the right cymbal with a couple of fills here and there. Let me play the first two bars. The timing in this intro does push and pull a little bit between straight and swung, but I think if you look at these notes, you'll be able to work out what I was going for, and then when you listen to the song, it'll all start to make sense. Moving on, the next two bars, there's one slightly different fill, but it's pretty straightforward. We repeat those two bars one time, and then the last four bars of this intro go like this. Right after that intro, we switch tempo and we switch time signature. So we're a little bit faster and we're in 4/4. We're going to count the hi-hats with the foot as 8th notes, so that'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and there's a sneaky little sizzle on the E of 3. I'll show you how it goes. For the whole rest of this section, we play much the same thing, but I can hear a little drag on the snare drum right before the cymbal, so this is what that would sound like. So add that in if you feel like it sounds good, but otherwise you could definitely just leave it out. Okay, next up, after we've had one little guitar lick, the next time around we're going to add a drum fill, and this very first drum fill is a lot of kicks, but it just goes like this. That fill is definitely quite syncopated, and if you're having trouble lining up the notes, I would definitely slow it down and subdivide in 16th notes. 1 E-ander, 2 E-ander, 3 E-ander, 4 E-ander. That way it'll be easier to line up those rests and exactly where those kick drums go. Moving on, we're into the meat of these fills now, so I'll take it 2 bars at a time slowly, and then I'll come back and play the whole section all together. The next 2 bars. Here's the next 2 bars of these fills. And here's the last 2 bars of this section. Now here's those 8 bars all together. Take your time with that section. There's a couple of weird kicks in there in some of those fills and some stuff that you might not be that used to. So just slow it down so that you get it right, and then you'll be able to speed it up and play to the song, and that's when it's going to sound fantastic. Moving on, we're into just a pretty basic beat. There's a couple of extra snare drums in there, but I'll take the first 2 bars slowly. There's one tiny little snare drum fill that gets used a couple of times through this verse. It's just 4 E and at the end of the second bar. Halfway through this verse, there's a little riff section that goes for 4 bars. The groove stays pretty much the same, but there's a couple of different fills, so I'll just play through those 4 bars now. The lyrics come back in for the next verse, and we're just going to loop these same 2 bars over and over. No fills, no changes. Once that verse is out of the way, we hit another section with lots of drums in it. Some of the drum fills are the same as the first time around, but some of them are changed just a little bit, so I'll play through once again 2 bars at a time and then put the whole thing together. Moving on to bars 3 and 4 of this section. And here's the next 2 bars with a sneaky little hi-hat foot on beat 3 that might catch you out. Once again, just take it slowly and eventually you'll get it. And here's the last 2 bars of this drum fill section. Now let me put those 8 bars all together. Now we're up to the guitar solo, but so this lesson doesn't drag out too long, I'm going to split it into 2 parts. This first part, there's been heaps to look at, all those great fills and those grooves as well, but in part 2, there's some more fills and a couple of different beats that we're going to need just to get through to the end of the song. So let's leave it there. Happy practicing with that one, guys, and I'll see you in part 2.